okay, Custer? And this is Jennie, of course, and you're watching another episode of the Greater Flint Creative Alliance Showcase here in the Flint Underground channel. So let's just cut through the rigmarole. You're either watching us on channel 17, Comcast Public Access.
Mondays at 6 p.m.
And we really appreciate your viewership. Or you're watching us online, either on our YouTube channel or on flintunderground.org. Either way, we're glad to have you. If you're watching us on TV, you know there's a longer version of tonight's show on the internet at this URL right here. It includes more music, more interview content, more of everything. So it's really worth checking out, especially if you like what you see. So you might be asking yourself, what is the Creative Alliance? Well, I'll give you the long answer. The Creative Alliance is a group of artists and activists. In fact, we are painters, poets, organizers, dancers, actors, models, photographers, filmmakers, writers, DJs, musicians, designers, comedians, performers, and anything else you can think that's creative. Our mission is to organize events and activities to support art, culture, and our community. Now, if this sounds like a group, we also want to obviously make people proud of Flint. This sounds like a group you're interested in joining. We meet every Wednesday at Churchill's Bar and Grill on Saginaw Street at 7 o'clock, except for the third Wednesday of the month where we have our Creative Collab Night.
Good Beans Cafe.
Good Beans Cafe from 7 to 10. It's all free. And you know what's really cool about our Creative Collab Night is we're having this series of Flint song contests.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that. So we got 2 more entries since the last time when we talked about it.
So the whole premise of the thing is for 12 months, each collab night for a period of 12 months from May to May, we give people the opportunity to come on there and get filmed doing a song about Flint that they wrote. And we currently have, 8 entries?
Now we have 8, we just had 2 more.
2 more this last week. And it's really cool, it's just a hugely diverse group of songs. Who are the newest ones?
The newest ones is another one by Jeremy Walter, and you know, maybe you don't know, you're a collaborator in the next
unintentional collaborator.
Our poet had his words put to music by Al Harris, and he's playing. It's really good.
That's what I hear.
Yeah.
I wasn't there, but the cool thing about it is that anyone can enter, anyone can write the Flint song. We film it for you, we put it online, then it's voted on at the end of this whole period in May of 2015 by you guys, the viewers.
I think we're going to have a regular event where there's a popular vote, so you're going to come to the event.
Oh, okay. Looks like things are evolving. But either way, it's a really cool prize. It includes 5 hours of recording time with Ken at the Good Beans Cafe.
You'll be on Kettering
Radio, a few different radio stations. You can perform some of our shows. Aerosol and Audio, June Bree. Yeah, all sorts of great stuff. You really can't beat it. And all it takes is to come to one of our free events on the third Wednesday of the month at Good Beans Cafe. Play your Flint song. Let us know that's your Flint song. We'll record it. We'll save the video, and we'll get you in the running.
Yeah, you can be on the Facebook page, which is right there. And now, why don't we go watch those 2 right now?
Let's watch them real quick.
Yeah.
All right, this one is called Hometown Poem, No Rush.
Cemeteries are lost, still blinking neon lights, reading vacancy. The car made of raisin rays of Buick City, but the irony is killing me. And all the basement booths meditate on the bloom cycle lights, making bucks, growing kush, thinking about the suffering. A generation of garbage pail, kids born with a broom in the hand, forced to clean up ancient debris. In my hometown there's many places to be for sale. I eat a flea, but fortunately for me, there's no rush. And ignore instead of stress, but to choose there's just not much left. A few pillared roads of half-burned gutless homes, and a few well-hidden haunted hives where gauntletters thrive in a daze, haunting flower fields of their minds. And jaws rattle ferocious behind snake-bitten fangs, or rattle into a wild howl. It penetrates your unknown like a lapping lick of an inner shiver craze. And these impassioned kids make clunky claims to fame, though no one will really ever know their name. In my hometown there's many places to be, for sale, for lease, first month free. And just one life to live, I eat a flea, but fortunately for me, there's no rush. An upshot drop of water from a sprinkler sputtering adds a background noise to the pouring rain. But like magnets to metal, I am drawn here and stayed, and I'll do the same till the roof caves in, or at least my motivation dissipates. And as the smoke clears from throwing ink at expectation, pulling, tossing poems like pin-pulled grenades, a little buzz I spit poetic phrase, composing cracks of lightning that lead to thunderous refrain. My hometown, there's many places to be, to self-release, first month free, and just one life to live. I eat a flea, but fortunately for me, there's no rush.
So yeah, it's that simple. You can write your own Flint song from the next collab night, which will be again the third Wednesday of the month. So we have a really great show for you guys tonight. We've got local author Coyne, as well as another band I'm a huge fan of, Old Saint Tyrannaus.
Yeah, oh, they're so much fun.
Yeah,
they
they're
are.
a blast, and I'm sure you guys are gonna love them.
And Connor always is. You know, he's a local, and we just get lost in conversation with Connor.
So before we get to that though, let's talk about some events. Just a few this month. December 2nd, 7 p.m. at the First Metaphysical Church, they're doing a Native Indian hand drum. Now, I don't know if that means Native American or Indians from India, like tablas.
I bet it's Native American.
Probably Native American. Sounds like a cool event either way. That's at 7 p.m. December 2nd in Davison at the First Metaphysical Church. December 6th at the Soul Oasis Spa in Flushing. There will be a Full Moon Quartz Crystal Singing Bowl concert.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make a concert with singing bowls. That sounds so cool.
So if you've never seen a singing bowl, if you like the sound,
We've had them at collab night before.
yeah, they're pretty cool.
A friend of mine does that.
That'll be at 7 p.m. on the 6th of December in Flushing at the Soul Oasis Spa. That same night, if you're at the Machine Shop in Flint, Villa Billy's with Elephant Room, we're playing at 7 o'clock, and that's a 7-Eleven entertainment show.
Oh, Dustin and Jeff. Or Jeff.
Okay. Yeah, so that should be pretty cool.
Yeah.
The following week, December 12th, here at the Flint Local 432, Jeremy Combs Scholarship Benefit will be with the Tom Toms, which have been on the show, I believe.
Well, they've been on our videos.
They've been on some of our videos. Bobby G. and the Boys, As a Lark, Better Side of OK, and She the Spectre. That starts at 7 p.m. here at the local, December 12th. Also, December 12th, if you're down in Detroit, the Tangent Gallery, they've got a show starting at 8 o'clock called Deranged with Midas, Scruggs, and Bear Grylls. And all of these are spelled with X's and Z's, so Sounds like a
We're gonna look that up.
Yeah, sounds like
Tangent Gallery though was great in Detroit because we've had some shows. Well, we know people that have had shows there, and those people are
they're
great.
really open to the kind of Flint scene, the Flint art that we have down there. So gotta support them back. December 13th at Churchill's Food and Spirits. The Wayback Machine presents Support Your Local Poet Open Mic, and that'll be hosted by Ethereal this month.
Okay.
So,
oh really?
yeah.
You're not gonna do that? Are you gonna be there though?
No.
You're not gonna even be
I mean, I might be there, but I'm not gonna be doing anything, getting drunk. So come get drunk with me. Support Your Local Poet starts at 9 o'clock. It's free, and then at 10 till 2 we got DJ Microwave with the Wayback Machine.
That's fun too. You dance. I mean, you get drunk and you dance.
You get drunk and you dance. You can't beat it. December 18th, also at Churchill's, 9 p.m. Ugly Christmas Sweater Party with DJ Fletch. So bring your ugly sweater out and check it out.
Was that a commercial inspired event?
I must be. I don't know. But if you're doing nothing on New Year's Eve, come to the First Metaphysical Church for a New Year's Eve party at the First Metaphysical. It starts at 8 p.m. They're getting down, getting groovy, getting metaphysical with it. So
Yeah, cool.
it's a light month. That's all the events we got.
Yeah, that's all we have.
But before we go to the next section, I want to remind everybody we're filming here at the Flint Local 432 in downtown Flint. Our costs have moved down to our basement studio. They've gone way, way down. And for only $10, you can be one of our underwriters, which helps go to support the show.
Justin is going to be on our commercials. He was on our show last.
Justin from last month, yeah, he was awesome.
Yeah. Scanlon, and he, we likes to say Justin Nigel Scanlon.
Scanlon.
Yeah, Scanlon. He puts his Niles is his middle name.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he puts that in there. But he had us. He bought a commercial for $10, and so
Much
on the show
appreciated.
you're going to see his little snippet.
And just to remind you, if you're interested in buying a show, it's $10 to get you one 60-second commercial or two
Yep.
30-second commercials. You
Yep.
can go on any of our videos, whether that's this show, Artwalk, Collab Night. You can really get your message out there. The best deal in town.
Just contact me.
Right there. So let's go check out those underwriters, and
Yeah.
we thank them again for the support.
Page's Bookstore is locally owned and located at 132 West 2nd Street in downtown Flint at Buckham Alley. It is a showcase for local authors and artists. Please visit Page's during the second Friday Art Walk in downtown Flint.
Ladies and gentlemen, Justin Scanlon.
I moved here about 7 years ago.
Okay, where did you move from?
Queens in New York.
Oh, very cool.
I get my paycheck maybe once a week. Once a week I get so drunk I could not speak. Deep six, this world of cares. Now black is the color, my true love wears.
Thanks.
That was on the money.
How did you end up here in Flint?
Romantic interest, which is usually what leads me anywhere.
Oh, really?
You say that he stabbed you and turned the knife. You left it lost in some wreckage and he said that's love. You kept to yourself, you did not speak. But all your thoughts could do was leave you weak. You can't protect your heart like a precious stone. You can lock it up, but it's useless alone. The tides of emotion turn and burn wheel. Time moves, but love heals.
How have you felt living in Flint? I mean, it's kind of a weird thing to kind of come into a place.
I feel perfectly comfortable here. Remember, my introduction to life in Queens was I came out and I saw a brace of 9mm shell casings on the sidewalk.
Wow.
The only difference here is there are fewer shell casings.
Right.
I feel safer.
Yeah, bullets are a little too expensive.
Now's the time when ghosts gather round. There's a bar at
from actually from the Delta himself. He went by the name of Guitar Slim. He ended up teaching me most of the Robert Johnson licks. They came to me very easily, and they came to me very early.
I'm like so impressed.
Yeah, I was hitchhiking on Route 1 trying to get to my girlfriend. You sort of noticed that always somehow snakes into the accounts, and I'm like, why did you make that decision? Well, it's very interesting music, but I like the woman.
Did you play any bands or dance?
No, I don't think anything that really would be of note. In the 80s, I got lucky with a band called Blue Oyster called, they covered a tune of mine, Dance in the Ruins, which became actually a top 10 hit, which I promptly squandered on, yep, you guessed it, women. Love it.
Come visit the Good Beans Cafe at 328 North Grand Traverse, Flint, Michigan, in historic Carriage Town.
Yeah, alright. 1, 2, 1, 2, smiling faces. Constantly supporting community and culture. And beyond. The Good Beans Cafe! Yeah. There we go.
So we're back, right?
So yeah, we're back.
And we got first guest.
So yeah, welcome again, Connor Coyne.
Thank you.
Welcome to the show. This is your second time on?
Yes.
Yeah, it's been about a year since we've had you on.
Sounds about right.
Yeah.
That was the show where I got arrested.
Yeah.
What was that? I think it was about a year ago.
Bookstore and
Yeah, and the 12
Larceny,
cents.
I believe.
Yeah.
12 cents, right? Right.
Anyway,
So how's
that was
that
fun.
treating
Good. Got a new member of the family since then.
you? Congratulations.
Thank you.
A cat?
No, of the primate variety.
Oh, excellent.
Hey, he's got a monkey. Isn't that fun? Okay,
You know, a little bit bigger
A
than
little more highly evolved.
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes.
I think a monkey would be more fun
Well, human babies poop a lot, but they don't throw their poop at you.
though.
So,
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah.
so that helps.
Yeah, it sounds more tame, maybe a little less fun in the long run, but baby can't be an organ grinder act or anything else.
This is true. Yeah.
So, I know you're busy writing.
Yeah.
Since we met last. What's your newest thing?
The newest thing is a follow-up to Hungry Rats.
Right, which is your first book.
Yes, first book, Hungry Rats, which was published in 2010 and set in Flint in 2003. And so this second book will be called The Rat Catcher, and it kind of takes place in the same universe 11 years later. It's a new mystery, new characters, but a lot of the same history is kind of moving through. And this was actually a suggestion by my editor Reinhard Suarez, who thought there were unanswered questions in Hungry Rats that maybe could be explored a little bit further. So
Very cool.
so
This wasn't an originally planned sequel or trilogy type series. This is just something that has come about.
Right. Although we are thinking about the possibility of making it into a trilogy. It'll depend a whole lot on how Ratcatcher comes out and what people think of it, and how I feel about it. But actually, so far it seems pretty kick-ass. So
Awesome.
yeah.
And just for people that don't know your writing, you write in a more experimental fashion, right?
Yeah. So Hungry Rats was basically sort of a noir, if you think along the lines of James Cain, The Postman Always Rings Twice, or Thomas Harris, Red Dragon, Silence of the Lambs. Except what kind of made Hungry Rats a little bit more on the experimental side was that it was told in second person, which is basically when it's like a choose your own adventure. It's not I, me, and it's not he, she, them. It's all you. So whoever the reader is, you feel like you are participating in those actions. And the reason why it's told that way is a central part of the mystery in that. The Rat Catcher is going to be, at least on the surface, probably seem much more like a mainstream sort of mystery, not as obviously experimental. There are sort of allegorical and mythological elements, but they're a little bit more subtle. So, and actually that's been both challenging and exciting for me, because it's given me a little bit more space to concentrate on the actual mystery and the components like evidence and clues and motives and who is what, where, when, and people moving around each other. You know, things that are classic tropes of sort of a mystery are more concentrated in Ratcatcher, I think, than they were in Hungry Rats.
That's interesting, because I know your other book here, Shattering Glass, also kind of in that second-person perspective, right?
Shattering Glass is more in sort of a third-person perspective, but it's in a very sort of flamboyant. It's experimental, but it's in a very sort of like flamboyant, lots of allusions, lots of pop culture references, lots of digging deep into sort of mythology or history or biology. It kind of like throws everything in the blender and then like spews it all out. So yeah.
So this third book is going to be kind of like a mixture of both those styles. The kind of the content, the mystery of your first novel, and then more of the allegorical, mythological kind of.
I've had a couple people test reading it, and the way they've been responding to it, and the way that I'm hoping it is received is that it's a page turner, that people pick it up and they are into the characters from the first page, and they really, really want to find out what happens next. And that is actually kind of new territory for me, because people do, I think, enjoy my books. I've had very positive responses, but one thing which people have consistently said is that they take a while to get into. Mm-hmm. And lots of times, if people make it to like page 30 or 40, they're into it. But I'm hoping that this one can kind of grab people by the collar and drag them along more, and I'm encouraged by the early signs.
Isn't that interesting that a lot of these bigger books really take a lot of focus to get into for people? It's just like a quick culture. You have to
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the literary culture of the U.S. I think it's really, really interesting to me how at their time you had Hemingway, who was kind of like one of the first, and of course he was inspired by Gertrude Stein, but Hemingway was one of the first articulators of the idea that less is more. Mm-hmm. And then on the other hand, you had William Faulkner, who was absolutely as much of respected and prestigious of a writer at the time, and he would write sentences that went on for pages. And now, 80 or so years later, Hemingway is much more remembered, more quoted, more read today by most Americans than William Faulkner is. My writing style definitely is more on the Faulkner end of the continuum than the Hemingway end, but I think Ratcatcher is a step towards the direct.
And I don't know if you want to speak to it, but I know you're working on another project that's more Faulkner-esque. Your larger compendium, if you will, Urban Tavern.
Oh boy, yeah. Well, that I'm not going to have anything to deliver there for a while, but Urbantasm was a story which I started in 1996. Basically, I was in the middle of high school. I had friends at Flint Central and Northern and Powers and Flushing, and everybody's life was all messed up, and all this crazy stuff was happening. And at the same time, I was reading Les Miserables, which was 1,400 pages, the biggest, most over-the-top, romantic, epic, pretty much of all time. And just thinking, like, this is great. This is high drama, and all this shit happening in my life, is absolutely as book-worthy as the life of Jean Valjean and Hugo's other characters. So what I didn't realize is that kind of a project is obscenely difficult to follow through on, and I've been working on it for 18 years now, and I have a schedule which I've kind of been able to stick to finally have it publication ready in about 2 years. But that is...
Which is the blink of an eye for a project even 18 years.
Exactly. It feels like it's kind of rushing up on me. It's kind of exciting. But yeah, that one is very very close to my heart. I guess in terms of like the conceit of the story, which I am like talking about a little bit more, it starts out with a 13-year-old boy named John Bridge, and he's growing up in a city that is sort of like Flint once removed. It's basically a template of Flint, but the names are different, so I can mess around with them more. It's called Cowie, Michigan, and they're big auto manufacturers, ex-automotives, and so he's living in that city in the early 1990s when sort of the decline is really, really accelerating. and his the economic and financial situations of the families he's surrounded with is deteriorating, and there's also all of this greater dysfunction which is also impacting his life. Where and that is very much sort of in the tradition of realist American psychologically driven literature, which is also heavy on social commentary. The difference is that there is this gradual intrusion of, I don't want to say like the supernatural, but more sort of like the syncretic as it goes along. So,
like synchronistic?
Well, the idea that elements that are far apart become entangled in each other. So there are ideas about alternate geometries of the universe and how this affects the passage of time and how this affects the way things move through space. And it's not quite the same as magic, but it's an esoteric physical system. And as the characters get further into their situations and sort of begin to notice these weird things happening, it almost is supernatural. They almost take on supernatural agency. And then at the same time, the decline of the city itself takes on, allegorical or biblical or mythological elements and becomes sort of representative. I mean, this is all like, the big picture stuff. The stuff that I hope hooks people is, he goes to his first dance and like really, really wants to make out with a girl and he finds out she's young and it's like, and just drama that like most of us can relate to in some component or another.
It sounds really fascinating. The fact that you're able to kind of bring it to this high school level, to these childhood dramas and multiple experience is really interesting to me.
Thanks.
So it sounds like a really fascinating project. How does it feel to be working on two major works, Ratcatcher as well as Urbantasm, pronouncing that correctly, at the same time? Is that sometimes confusing? Or?
It requires a specific approach for me. I think different writers are more or less comfortable with it. I don't know that I would have been as comfortable with it 5 or 10 years ago. It really has to do with sort of like building up to the moment of jumping into writing. And every writer's got a process. For me, it involves, each project's got a specific set of music. There's you get out, you brew the coffee, you pour yourself some water, you pour yourself some alcohol, you get everything set up in you get the lighting just right, you make sure that nobody's going to bother you. Once all of those elements are in place, and it takes like a half hour to do all this stuff.
Your ritual.
Usually, I'm in the zone of that project, and then I can work on that for like 2 or 3 hours.
Interesting. Do you have specific? What's the soundtrack to Ratcatcher?
So Tom York released a solo album in 2006 called The Eraser, which has, I think, like some kind of atmospheric stuff, and then 2 really kick-ass songs, Black Swan and It Rained All Night, are the 2 that jump out to me. And actually, like, when I was doing Hungry Rats, it was earlier Radiohead albums, Kid A and Amnesiac kind of informed that. So by sticking with the same musicians and the same sort of sonic vocabulary, it kind of works, for writing something that takes place in the same universe.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Do you have a specific kind of beer that if you're writing, maybe you drink ale, and this one you drink water?
Well, it does. It's not that specific, but it does have something to do with being in a particular character's shoes. It's kind of funny. There's a great writer friend of mine, Michael Davidson, who lives in Austin, Texas, and he said that despite being like, almost undrinkable at times, the Steel Reserve Tall Boys are amazing for creative output. And it's weird because I had come to exactly the same conclusion completely independently of him. So I think there might actually be something to that. And they're like $1.19 at Meyer, so.
Yeah, I personally am not a fan of cat piss, but that's awesome. So I kind of want to hear a little bit from Ratcatcher. If you want to give us a short review.
Sure. Yeah. And just let me know if I'm going on too long.
Start the clock.
All right. 1. So many people owe you favors. Can't someone give you some money? Ain't no one got no money to give. The father and the son stood side by side, huddled against the cold, the wind, the early coming dark, and the discord of traffic whirling down 475 a block away. They stared down the stereotype, their new address. The father's name was Brick. His name was really Gale Horde, but everyone called him Brick, or Chip, or Asshole, or Bloody Guns, or that murderer motherfucker. He was in his late 40s, but he looked a decade older. He had a bit of a beer belly, was just a little bit overweight, but his strong forearms and his loose flannel shirt and his strong calves that didn't give a shit about being wrapped in least fashionable white with red striped socks gave the only half-false impression that he was more muscle than flab. Not that there wasn't strength here. Brick was strong. His strength derived from the strength of his will, the ferocity of his passions, his impatient energy, his lack of judgment. He was the kind of man people said not to be fucked with. The son's name was Alistair, which had been thought up as a joke by Brick. Brick, dismayed that his lover had declined the offer to pay for the abortion fees, had cheerfully figured, what the fuck, and suggested a name as different from his own as he could think. Alistair as a name bespoke either ascots and golf clubs or brandy and mothballs. Veronica had liked the name. It stuck. Alistair was born a pawn to his parents in competing passion, in his name just as in everything else. When Veronica decamped to Traverse City, Alistair was stuck in Flint with his dad. The kid was taller than Brick, stronger and healthier, even though he looked more slight, more weak. He was differential in little things, like where they lived, but outspoken about the big things, like his own future. He had brown eyes, brown hair, speckled freckles, brown skin. I love my mulatto son, Brick laughed sometimes, and Alistair said, well, I don't like you much, Dad. He especially didn't like his father today, when Alistair had been dragged out of school halfway through his first class to help them load up their evicted belongings and drag them out to the shitty stereotype. The stereotype would have fit nicely on a blog post for 27 Wall Street, or the Huffington Post, or Policy Mike, or fucking Forbes. This was Flint, Michigan, after all. This was the East Side. This was a street named after a state. 2 blocks away, the beautiful school where Brick had thrown rotten apples at Mrs. Barb's had burnt to soot, to ash, like moldy toast, Brick said. The judo club had closed, and so had the funeral home. Now it was either a house of worship, according to the sign, or the New Rays, according to the multicolored lights that flashed behind drawn curtains some nights. Many of the houses on these blocks were empty hulks, just like the stereotype. Second floor windows ain't fucked up, said Brick. This was true. Although the first floor windows were all smashed and CP graffiti by Consumer Power across the door already warned them they wouldn't be getting any electricity or running water here. Ain't seen fire, said Brick, and this was true too. Many of the abandoned houses on this block had, but this one, gutted and pillaged and stripped and trashed as it was, had not been torched. It's got good bones, said Brick. He dug out a toothpick and started rooting for a loose piece of meat stuck in his teeth. His teeth were rotten and he couldn't see anything without getting crap stuck in the cracks and crevices. He was obsessed with rooting it all out. He dug away with his toothpicks. This was how he had gotten one of his nicknames, Bloody Guns. What happened, Dad? Asked Alistair. What had happened was complicated. It always was. They'd been living in a legit apartment on Longway, better than some of the other places they'd settled, though the heat was creaky, and the communal washers were usually busted. They lived check to check, 1 week late with the rent each month, but it was still fairly reliable money for Smiley, the landlord, so he shut up. Smiley didn't smile much, but then he didn't frown either. It wasn't like it could have been an ironic nickname. And it couldn't have been his real name either. Who the fuck names their kid Smiley, Brick said to the man as they signed the lease. Anyway, the apartment had come down with a nasty batch of cockroaches, courtesy of the guy next door in the hole connecting the 2 kitchens, or so Brick had said. He had said he was withholding rent until this problem was solved. Smiley had verbally admitted that this was only fair, but on the first Monday of the month pretended he didn't remember their conversation and started talking late fees. It was the sort of thing that could have been solved by the 3 words Michigan tenants' rights or just by rolling his eyes, but Brick had decided to solve it with his fists, so he broke Smiley's nose. He'll be smiling crooked from now on, said Brick with a laugh. Alistair didn't laugh, though. Smiley said they'd better self-evict or wind up in court. 6 months back, Brick had spent the night in jail after a bar fight. He knew the court would lean against him, so he pulled his son out of school to help them move into the stereotype. The stereotype was courtesy of Alan, another shop rat worker. Alan lived in Royal Oak, an hour down 75, and hadn't been back to Flint in years. He owed Brick a favor, though, a series of small loans made years ago, without Alan's wife being any the wiser. Alistair was right. Plenty of people owed Brick favors. Brick was right. None of them had any money to lend. Brick was holding a book, too. What's that? Alistair asked. I'm a literary man, Brick said. You took that from him. From Smiley, didn't you? Smiling motherfucker, said Brick. Brian Keene, The Conqueror Worms. I want to find out what happened, says Brick. On the cover, a cluster of badly photoshopped annelids threatens some coastal town. You don't read, said Alistair. I'll read this. They were stalling. The stereotype waited across the street, its doorless doorway open like a howl. They weren't moving in any faster just by staring at it. You know, Brick said, Alan doesn't have a fucking clue how this place is. On the phone, he said maybe with us living here it wouldn't get scrapped out, but look, it got scrapped out a year ago, maybe more. You can tell the windows got smashed in that long ago. Look how ripped up those curtains are, with the weather and all. We can make do, but he ain't gonna sell this or shit. County get it, demolish it a couple years down? Why do you care? Alistair asked. Have some respect, said Brick. Real Americans lived in this house 50, 100 years. Now it's dead and gone. We're the last people gonna live here. After we go, no one's gonna live here no more. We're the only dignity it's got left.
That's great.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You really made me feel like I was on the east side of Flint. And that's
Thank you.
really a cool thing to be able to do. You know, people that are from the area, you can really relate to this type of writing and this experience you guys are having. You know, you recognize the hieroglyphs of the cut and plug, and you know, you can tell. It just feels like you're walking in these houses.
Thank you.
It feels like, you know, I can recognize Homedale School, I can recognize the Flint Judo Club.
Yeah.
It's very cool. So this book is finished?
No. I'm trying to do it with NaNoWriMo to get it done on the.
And for our illiterate friends, what is NaNoWriMo?
NaNoWriMo is sort of a national movement of people that are trying to write a novel 50,000 words in length in the course of a month. And this is a tight, fast little thing. So it might be over 50,000, but it's not gonna. 50,000 is about 175 pages. Mm-hmm. This might push 200. I don't know if I'm going to be done with it by the end of November, but I'm about a third of the way in. And actually, like the last couple nights, I've been able to like kick out like 5,000-6,000 words each. So it's moving along. It just still has a way to go.
So how do you prepare for National Write a Novel Month?
I mean, everybody prepares differently. Yeah, I don't. I'm not going to name any names. Sometimes I think that I've seen some advice dispensed on this front that I became upset with because people were saying, you know, don't outline anything beforehand, or don't talk about this, don't write about dreams, don't. You know? And my whole thing is, if you're going to write a novel in a month, right, do what works. Right. If you outline, I outline copiously. Mm-hmm. If you want to do an outline, do it. If it's faster for you to go without one, right, go without one. If you write one and you jump the rails.
Because the point isn't to create in certain ways to create, right?
It's, yeah, and actually, like, if you read, like, the creators, and I think it's been around probably now for about, like, 17, 18 years, the original concept was writing as a process becomes so sort of choreographed, mm-hmm, that being a spontaneous writer is more difficult. So the whole idea, but, you know, for example, I find an outline to be liberating. You know, I'm not constrained by it, but it still sort of allows you to free your mind to think about things like character and prose and style and stuff like that. So everybody's got a different way of kind of coming at it. And I think kind of knowing what your own requirements are before November 1st rolls around is probably like the single most important thing.
Mm-hmm. So if people want to get some of your books, where do they go?
Well, I recommend anybody local to go to Page's Bookstore and support a great independent business. You can also get them on my website. You go to ConnorCoyne.com,
which is right there,
and that'll link you very easily to where you can purchase both of them. You can also find them at major online retailers like Amazon or Barnes & Noble. And you should be able to go into those stores and order them. Like any store that is hooked up to the internet should be able to order you a copy. So awesome. They're both listed as $16, I think.
Awesome. And then lastly, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about your Carnival, your mythology, speaking of the Eternal Order of Orpheus.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that one.
Okay. So I kind of started Gothic Funk Press for my own writing, but last year, for the first time, we published some other writers in an anthology called Mark's Hat, and Nick was actually one of our featured writers in that anthology. And 2015 is kind of an experimental year to see what we can put out there from a lot of different sources. So some of this will take the form of publishing other books or other anthologies, but we also are looking into several community engagement events. And the first of these, which we're trying to fund by Kickstarter, which is a crowdfunding site, is called the Flint Order of Orpheus. And the objective is to create a carnival celebration. Carnival is the period of winter shenanigans leading up to Mardi Gras. A carnival celebration unique to Flint. So there's 1 week left on this fundraiser. Our baseline goal is $100, which will basically be enough to provide an installation with free beads and throws and doubloons and other things relevant to carnival within the context of the myth of Orpheus, which is a Greek myth, which we thought was applicable and interesting. And then depending on how much we make over $100, we'd really like to do a cruise, which will feature floats and go all over the city. And we could actually do something along those lines for $200 because cruises compared to parades are very, very cheap to organize. And if we make more than that, we could also have a party, which we would really like to do.
And I just want to say, the best part about this whole thing
Yes.
is the we. Who is we?
We is myself and my daughter Mary, who is currently 4 years old, and she is the Gothic Funk Press Director of Fun. She has about 50 or 60 ideas she wants to incorporate into this project, and is dead serious about all of them. So she is my equal partner in all of this, and there's nothing I can really. When I have the idea for the cruise, I take credit for that, but I had to sell her on it and kind of explain why I thought it was a good idea, and eventually she was won over, and then she had ideas for how she wanted to do the cruise. So you're getting experience and youthful imagination.
A winning combination,
Yes.
for sure. So if people want to get to that, they can
Yes.
find that at your website as well?
You know what? They can find it on the blog on my website, but probably the easiest way would be to go to Kickstarter.com and just search the Flint Order of Orpheus, which is Orpheus.
You know, like the guy that went to hell to get his wife.
That guy didn't have a very happy ending.
Not for him. But appreciate you being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
It's always nice to have you on here. I hope to have you maybe in another year when you got another 6 novels to show.
That would be awesome.
And yeah.
Great.
Thanks a lot. And I think we're just going to go back to our underwriters, so.
All right.
Let's see what they got going on.
Page's Bookstore is locally owned and located at 132 West 2nd Street in downtown Flint at Buckham Alley. It is a showcase for local authors and artists. Please visit Page's during the second Friday Art Walk in downtown Flint.
Welcome to the Lunch Studio, Flint's fresh alternative. We've been downtown Flint since 2001. When we first opened, there were only a couple places downtown where people could get an affordable and healthy lunch. Now there are a lot more choices for the growing downtown community, and that's a good thing.
At the Lunch Studio, we serve lunches made with the best ingredients at the best possible prices and always with a smile. All our soup and chili is made in-house daily. We have daily lunch specials and delicious breakfast sandwiches too. If you're in a hurry or on a short break, call ahead, dine in, or grab it and go. We offer many healthy and vegetarian options, and we can also accommodate most any special diet. We also offer half of 2 different sandwiches in case you just can't make up your mind.
We buy locally whenever possible, and we're very active in the community. We are proud and excited to be a part of the revitalization going on in downtown Flint, a place that we have always loved. Here at the Lunch Studio, we think lunch should be one of the highlights of your day.
be an underwriter, it's only a $10 donation to your favorite grassroots organization. So we're back with Old St. Tyrannaus. Welcome, guys. Well, thank you. For our audience members who don't know you guys, I just want to go down the line, tell us who you are, maybe what you play.
Alright, so my name is Sandra Johnson, and I play the mandolin, and I sing sometimes.
I'm Holly. I play the ukulele, a little bit of the toy accordion, and I sing.
My name's Jordan, I play the drums.
My name's Ryan, I play bass, and sometimes I pretend like I can sing.
I'm Rob, I play guitar and I sound like a cat that's taking stepped on.
Well, we're happy you guys are on the show. So people in Flint know, we've seen you around. This band has been like steadily evolving over the past year. Can you guys just tell us kind of how you've changed from maybe when we saw you when it was a duo to today?
Oh,
you don't suck anymore? Is that?
I don't read from paper when I play anymore, so that's a big
This is true. Big improvement. She knows the songs.
Right.
When we first started, I actually had never played mandolin before, so I started playing mandolin when I joined this band.
Yeah, that wasn't a jam. She really didn't know how to play.
Yeah, no, both Sandra and I, we both learned the instruments as we developed the band.
Don't musicians usually you pick up whatever you have in your hand, or if you're an artist, it's whatever.
I was classically trained on the trombone, so it is a little bit different going to.
Classically trained.
In all fairness, I started on bass guitar.
I started with the bass.
I
didn't play guitar before, is what I'm saying.
I actually played guitar before.
I knew how to play.
Originally, I was going to play drums when I joined the band, and then I realized I'm not that good at drums, there's a lot of stuff to carry, so I was like, I just play bass. And they're like, oh yeah, that's fine, and so we just didn't have a drum for a while.
That's the best way to do it.
And I hop around the most during our sets.
Yeah, she's even been known to steal Ryan's bass for a little jam.
Yeah, that's glorious. Everybody loves that. We do a cover of Cold War Kids, Hanging Up to Dry.
Nice.
And
people just go ape over it. It's so strange.
Well,
I just love it.
We had the hardest time getting a drummer for like a steady drummer, and then like I was like, oh yeah, Jordan plays drums, and I've known him for 10 years at least. Hey Jordan, you want to play drums? Yeah.
I feel like that was. Did you know the band before he asked you?
No. I'd seen him post stuff
He just
about
showed
it
up today
before,
for
but
the
I
first
never
time.
really listened to him. I had never been to a show. So he, I said yeah, and they sent me the tracks, the songs to learn, and there weren't any drum parts, so I had to make stuff up. And came to practice the first day, and that was it.
And you guys happy with your drummer? You gonna keep him on for a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of those things. Once we had him, like we're like anytime that we've even like practiced with him, we're like, man, we wish we had him here right now.
We just
didn't make everything better.
We just did 2 shows without him and we hated it.
Aw, that's gotta make you feel nice.
Somebody had to go hunting.
I look in the mirror and I have a picture of Jordan posted. I just have candlelight and I just chant one of us, one of us. So like hopefully voodoo, he's never gonna leave.
Yeah, Jordan couldn't leave the band if he wanted to, really, because we would just tie him up.
I've been slowly flipping his hair and making a doll out of it just in case.
How did you guys get your name? It is
Yes, tell the story.
Alright, so when it was just Rob and Holly, they were called Demon's Dance because brutal metal.
I think the whole folk theme,
Actually, back then it was just ukulele and guitar.
Yeah, so people.
But people assumed that we were Slayer bound.
They just thought
we
we
weren't. You just don't have the instruments yet.
So it was 2 of them and their Demon's Dance, and then Sandra and I came along, and whenever I would say, oh, I'm in a band, like, oh, what's your band called? Like, Demon's Dance, and they're like, And so, and I was
wait, even your mom.
Even my mom. Yeah, and then I'd be like, it's not as ominous as it sounds, and so I didn't feel like it fit what we were doing, and also I got tired of explaining it to people. So we talked about changing it, but we didn't have anything concrete. And Rob and I were like rattling off name after name after name.
I got our first ever band.
And I were turning it down and turning it
like, no, I'm turning it down.
And I was like, if we change it, we have to change it once and stick with it. Like,
so we were actually going to a Cold War Kids concert, and we were all riding together. We talked about it in the car, And Holly goes, how would you guys feel about having Tyranno or Tyrannus in our name? And we're like, yeah, that's cool. And then because dinosaurs, we all love dinosaurs. And then we just kind of put that in our pocket. And when we got to the show, we were sitting on the hill where DTE, and they were playing, the co-workers have a song called St. John. And I turned to Sandra, I was like, hey, why don't we just be old St. John? And Sandra goes, we can't be St. John. St. John's so played out. And I was like, he's like, he's just overdone. He's just overdone. I was like, well, what do you want us to be? Old St. Rodrigo? And she was like, oh,
I was like, yes.
And she was like, oh, if you roll your R's like that, everything is safe. And then
spell it with 3 R's.
Yes, and I don't remember if it was Holly or Rob or both, but they're like, why don't we be old St. Tyrannus? And we're like, maybe. So I said we should sleep on it, and if we still feel okay about it in the morning, then
But I already made my mind up we were gonna do that. So.
Yeah, I was full-hearted, yeah.
We just see, contrary to popular belief, like dinosaurs and me, like I'm cool with them. I'm best friends with lovers, but I'm not. Like, they're about as cool to me as like most other animals extinct or alive. But I really love that combination.
This is true. You do. Yeah. You are more of a sloth fan.
I am like the giant ancient sloth. But the old saint part, I love acting like an old man, so it worked out perfectly. It really did.
Yeah. And I remember reading this article that said whenever you pick a band name, make sure you Google it. So there are 17,000 other bands with their band name.
Oh yeah.
So I Googled it, and there actually was a St. Tyrannus. It was a guy in Africa doing missionary work. So I
not a
thought that was
man,
cool.
but yeah, an actual.
There was a Saint
There was an actual saint. Tyrannus.
Yeah. So I thought that was.
Who did?
I thought it was like terrible because I was like Tyrannus. That's
Yeah, we tried to put
tyrannical. That's gotta be a horrible dude.
Yeah, he actually just went around stabbing people.
The old Saint Murder's coming to town.
That's awesome. So, for people that haven't heard you guys before, describe your sound. Describe what is
The easiest fall to is just folk and rock.
Yeah.
A little bit of gypsy here and there.
I think the Tom Toms and Matt Coggins described us the best when on the last video we played. It was folk, blues, Satan gypsy or satanic gypsy. And I was like, I feel like that fits us very well.
So I was like,
especially that one song where you've got the accordion.
That's my favorite.
Hopefully you'll play that tonight, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
People like to get creeped out.
So, you guys got some shows coming up, right?
Yes, bit of a travel. December 5th, we are playing in Lansing at Next Bar. And then come January, it's either mid or towards the end, we'll be playing at Blind Pig in Ann Arbor with the Tom Toms and Debbie Shabak. They're awesome.
Come to the show. Like us on Facebook, come to the show.
Yeah, look at our
Shameless
Facebook.
plug.
So, Facebook page. Right there.
Put it right over Ryan's afro in this area.
Just in this area.
You can just have it do
On the
this
rhythm
thing.
section.
Like it's a pop-up. Like it's like those pop-ups you get on the adult sites.
Yes, everywhere. Click it. Do it.
Don't pretend you don't do it. No.
Click it, don't tick it.
So,
No. Wear your seatbelt too.
have you guys ever played in big bands that have gone to Blind Pig or anything else? Is this like your first?
No, our biggest gig was with the Shabak as well. Last February, I believe.
Yeah.
We played at the Magic Stick.
Nice.
Yeah, when it was just the 4 of us, sans Jordo.
Is that why
really
they mentioned
sad.
come back? Is it Jordo?
No, we.
He was a part of the
having
band.
drums.
It's not his fault.
People love us having drums too. So.
But no, none of us had been in a band except Rob and Jordo.
Oh, really?
I've been trying to start singing since I was 14. It just never worked out. And me and Xavier were marching band and stuff.
I was in marching band.
Yeah.
So we went to. I was in the marching band and we went to Disney.
Well, that's
You were poor. That's not fair.
I think though that I have the evolution of your music.
I think so,
on
too.
video. If you go to the Artwalk videos from when was that first one that I remember?
It was June, just the 2 of us. That was June of last year.
I thought that was April.
Was that
And then we
April?
played in June.
Or was it
together
April?
at
Maybe it was
Churchill's.
April of
Yeah, it was
Yeah, you
April.
guys went to Churchill or something.
Yeah. No.
When it was in front
It
of
was just Rob and me.
At the loft.
They played in the
They
loft.
were standing on the street corner.
Yeah, that may have been April.
Oh, yeah.
And there was art
that
behind
too.
you.
Yeah.
There was a big painting.
It's when Paul and all them were spray painting.
Yeah.
Oh,
Around the
that
corner
one.
of the bank.
That's different.
That's
Yeah, that was
old
like
one,
Westgate.
isn't it?
That was
Was
just
that when you
Westgate.
started?
That you.
So what we should do,
Don't-
the link
no,
to this video is have all the links so you guys
No.
can see the progression.
Yeah.
Don't watch those.
I'll run them over our faces.
Just watch
Appreciate
Watch like the last
Here,
one.
watch.
Just watch the last one. Just keep watching this. Watch the last one. Don't go back any further. Don't do it.
It won't be the same.
Just
Yeah, start at the beginning and then go to the end. Don't go backwards because then you'll be really disappointed.
You're like, who also listens to this band? Ugh.
It's like just watching Benjamin Button. It's sick.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the songs you guys have played today.
Okay.
Give us a sense.
Okay, well, My Life, that is probably our fastest one in funnest. Furious. Sometimes we go into hyper mode and play like chipmunks. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's how we warm up at practices is play at like 10 times speed.
Yeah.
It's usually because George being
Yeah.
mean.
But what is okay? So it's called My Life. Rob wrote the song.
It's
so
Rob's life.
You might as well.
It's about your life.
Tell us about your life, Rob.
I base all my songs on like, I always picture songs as like artwork or like storyboards for like a comic book. That's always, like I know it sounds weird, but that's always did it. Like a motion comic, you'll see those motion comics where they have the animation, but it's not actually moving. They just take it and they kind of just fade to one picture over the other. That's how I kind of picture all my songs when I'm writing them. I try to picture them and I just see them. And so like that's how I write them. I write them as a story. Sometimes they just start out as an idea. Sometimes I'll have the end and it's like, well, how did I get there? And so I spend time doing that, and that's why I always.
So it's like that music video for Take On Me.
Process. That's so cool.
No, not nearly that cool.
LSD?
What? Oh no.
Nothing.
It's ADD. That's
We're
all
at the
I
local. We're not going to advocate drugs or alcohol.
No.
Maybe psychedelic experimentation's fine at home, but here in the studio we don't do
We're
that.
actually a drug-free band. So.
Yes, we are. We are very much a drug-free band.
Yeah.
Jordan straight edge.
Like none of us smoke either.
He's got the
Yeah.
three X's tattooed on his calf. I don't know if you.
Jordan has no tattoos.
We're kidding.
Oh, I have a tattoo. Just one.
I have like 10.
Where we're at.
Oh, we don't want to talk about that tattoo.
Is it of your face?
Can't see
Rob?
my
What about yours?
Mine are mostly on my arms. I have one on my chest.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Actually, that's kind of funny. So the two men were the only ones who were previously in a band, and then all the women are the only ones who have tattoos. Just
So we got the real rock stars. And the accompanist.
Bad girls.
Oh yeah.
Mystique.
So why did you pick up the toy accordion?
Okay. Half of this band is probably stemmed from just joking around.
We don't take ourselves
But
seriously.
for some reason, the songs that we joke around with the most, people end up loving more. So had the accordion lying around, and I was like, oh, let's see how circusy, why not? So Circus Song was what first introduced the accordion, and it worked, and people love it, and so I kept it. Yeah, actually, Michael Poner has the original one.
Yeah.
So I still need that back from him.
You're watching this.
Yeah, you want to return the accordion. If you see him on the streets, be like, hey, where's the accordion?
Just throw rocks at him.
Don't throw rocks at him.
I mean, not big rocks.
We don't advocate violence.
Throw a punch.
Like below the face, small rocks. Like
That's true. You can't.
Nothing directly to the money maker.
Don't get my land in the ear or the nose, though. They
Right, like he's a window, just his chest.
So if you guys could be any color, what would you be?
Oh my god.
Oh, that's a really
Was this a rainbow question or a race question?
It was a musical question, but I like
You know what? I'm gonna go with the race of red.
I just have to mess with you a little bit.
Just like
Is it me?
It's for anyone, but you seem to know.
I already know the colors.
I don't want to be funny, but
Yeah, I'm actually not wearing
I know what
any
color Howie
right
is.
now, kind of.
if you said
He has
you're
yours.
racist, just so you know.
Hey, I never said it.
Like,
It's the
I know.
restaurants that did the colors.
Okay, best if you point so we don't talk all at the same time.
Yeah.
Jennie, no, sorry. I'm gonna go this way.
Alright.
Because I know you got a good one.
What if we play truth or dare?
Alright, red is kind of my thing. I'm of course, turns out I'm a redhead. And so yeah, that was always something that was pointed out to me when I was a kid. Oh, why's your hair that color? What's wrong with you? And then when I got older, it was like the special, oh, your hair's so pretty, don't ever change it. And I, got over the grudging like, I want to change my hair color and just embraced it. And then everything of mine mine is red. Like my car, my phone, my purse. I like don't leave the house without red lipstick. This is as like pink as I get.
Bull should be after you.
Yeah. So yeah, red is definitely my word.
Ask Holly a different question.
Ooh, switch it up.
You should ask her about her straws at restaurants.
Oh, we'll
That's what
just
you
go
should ask
in
her.
order.
I color straws you get at restaurants, Holly.
I am fascinated by why you would even suggest that. So maybe I should go with that.
Okay,
Because
so
we're all ridiculous.
Racist.
he is. Okay.
She's the one who points it out every time.
It's her turn to
Well,
speak. When it goes up, mouth goes shut.
Shame. You know your name.
All right, so straws at restaurants and bars. It doesn't. Okay. For a while, for like 2 years straight, it happened probably 99% of the time. I would always get a yellow straw, and I'm half Asian, so that's where the joke
Yes.
lies.
It's kind of an inside joke.
It is. It only like some people can tell I'm Asian and others can't. So you know.
So from now on, every bar we're gonna go to,
Asians.
they're gonna give this girl a yellow straw because they're just gonna do it out of respect.
What?
So I gotta ask though, just to go back to the first question, was that the color you would pick?
Only if I were to dress as a Power Ranger.
Ooh.
Yeah,
I would be the yellow Power Ranger. Otherwise, it's for the win.
Okay. Blue. Same question, straws.
I got a question. What is your alternate band name?
Oh, which one?
If you were the lead singer in this band.
No, he's in multiple bands.
Yes, I'm in
you are.
multiple bands, but if I did,
tell.
well, I'm in a band called Brights.
Brights.
I think
I'm
you kicked them.
not really in the band. I just play for them.
You would be in the band if you were playing something.
You're a contractor
You
for
showed
Brights,
up.
or-
He's like a freelance drummer, yeah.
Yeah, and actually, I kind of do that a lot. Is I'll just play for random bands whenever.
No, he's in our band. We're laying claim.
You can't have him.
No.
So what kind of music do you play in these bands? Is it like, because they were talking about kind of how you speed things up. Are you like a speed metal kind of guy? Or...
Not that specific.
No, Brights is actually pretty similar to this. I was in a band called Deathplex for a few years, and they were kind of rock and roll. It's really just rock and roll. I do play a lot of metal at home, but not at shows ever. I don't even bring a double pedal. I just use a single pedal and 4-piece. So
it's hardcore.
Classic set.
I like different kinds. It's just, I like to get a variety in there.
So if you could rename this band, what would you name it?
No idea.
No idea.
That's great. That's good.
We should Google it, though.
I feel like you're probably a bunch of that.
But now I'm curious, what color would you be?
Green for no.
I knew it because of Power Rangers. We always do it.
People are.
But you know, it's not easy to be green.
It's not easy being green.
I like it.
I imagine like a bright green, not a dark.
Like curry frog?
Like a lime green, like your.
Like electric green.
Like a regular Kermit the Frog.
Glow stick green,
You're
yeah.
always surprised, Jordan.
Nice.
I think you'd be like an
Fluorescent
earth
green.
tone, like a really like a muted.
I wouldn't be an earth tone. I mean, I
Maybe
wear a
like
lot.
brown or
I
something.
wear a lot of earth tones, I guess, but wouldn't be one.
To let his inner green shine.
So I'm gonna ask you the color question. I'm also gonna ask you what you played in orchestra.
Okay. Well, I guess I was gonna say blue or green, but those are taken. I wear a lot of
Well,
black.
it's you. Whatever you.
But you're wearing blue and green, so that, it's pretty obvious. It's a lot of blue
You're allowed
and
to
green.
like colors.
I'm allowed to like all of those. But yeah, I actually do like the original Green Power Ranger, so I was thinking green or, black.
Did you play the flute? Is that why?
Actually, I didn't, but I had a friend who played the flute. He's enormous. Like, he's like 6'8" or something. He's a huge man, and he started out as a kid playing the flute because he loved Tommy. And then his teacher was like, "You are too big to play the flute. Please go grab some drumsticks and just go back there." Which is actually a much better decision because he's an excellent drummer, but he just,
Listen, if I could call some sort of dragon from the sea,
I would do it, but no,
I can still do it, you never
He
know.
just needs to get a custom one built for his.
But if he's that big, he doesn't need the Dragon Sword. He is the
Yeah, he
Dragon
is.
Sword, right?
He's big and strong, and he will break your face.
So
he's a good friend to have.
What did you play in that band?
In orchestra. I was in orchestra for a whopping 1 semester.
Nice.
Because I couldn't fit into my schedule. And I played the double bass.
Ooh.
So I was a bass player in that too. I wanted to play the violin. I walked in and I was like, "Hey, I want to play the violin." And he was like, "Ha ha, no. grab a bass. And I was like, oh, what? And then I looked at the instrumentation, and there were like 20 violins and 2 violas and 4 cellos and no basses. And I was like, that's me then, okay.
That makes sense.
Dick move sounds like to me.
I mean, they needed it, and the strings are the same, so I was like, this is actually kind of okay. But using a bow is foolishness, and I don't know how anybody does it.
It was like a bass?
Yeah, it's like a big double bass.
Oh.
And it was terrible because I had to play like this, because I'm not very big. The worst part was carrying it though. I had to put it on my back, like in the gig bag, and when I would walk under doorways, I go, because I would forget I was suddenly 2 feet taller, and
Didn't that also interfere with your drum career, the size of the instrument, something about,
when I was actually, when I joined, I was in marching band too, and I played the marching snare for most of it. But originally I wanted to play the bass drum, and my mother would not let me because she said bass drums are too big. I'm like, they're full of air. And also they make small ones, but she wasn't buying it, so that's what they had to do. Yeah.
That's cool though. Well, I mean, you used your bass skills to kind of bass it up.
Yeah, and I like being
I thought it was just you didn't want to carry it.
Bass.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
when I first played drums, I didn't want to carry all that stuff too, because I like.
It was like the big bass. You didn't want to carry that.
Yeah, I didn't want to carry it.
It's a convenient.
Play the flute next.
With the drum machine.
I don't wind instrument. I don't understand. I'm like.
She tried to join the band playing kazoo, but then we're like,
If I start my own ska band, you're not invited then.
I think I could play a brass instrument. Not well.
Yeah.
I think I could play.
You make sounds.
Yeah, see, after that counts, really.
Like maybe the trombone because you just like you slide it.
It's fun.
But like the trumpet, I don't understand it. It's sorcery because it's like you get 3 valves. You have to make like that's not even enough to make a whole scale. Like you have to do weird things with your mouth.
I love you just call it sorcery.
It is sorcery. That's the only way to explain something.
It's demon stuff. You're getting away from that, I thought.
We're distancing ourselves from that.
Yeah, demons are only in our songs now.
Right.
Yeah.
So Rob, if you were a color, what color would you be and why?
Magenta with sparkles.
Maybe
floral was the pattern.
Yeah, I would be a tweed pinstripe. No, actually, I'd be like indigo blue, like right between blue and purple, that nice and deep tone. I like that color.
Man, I hate artists. Always making up colors. Indigo.
I would be Wendigo. That's not even a color. It's a creature. I don't even know. But if I had to be a Power Ranger, I would be a gold Power Ranger.
Yeah. Okay. So here's an even more important question. Yellow Power Ranger. I get it.
Pink.
Pink.
Yeah.
Green.
Green. That's what's up.
Orange.
There's
probably a white Power Ranger.
I would definitely be the gold Power Ranger.
You guys are all lame. We'll take a break dance for shit.
Black dude, red or white or green.
I think it was red.
Yeah.
No, because the gold Power Ranger is the
You
red Power
remind me
Ranger.
of the blue one.
Well, if he's a white
Scared of the water.
No way, I'm not a drug addict.
Remember that shit?
I like that.
Well, you are like
Yes.
all the glasses.
I'm not the blue Power
What's
Ranger.
Billy?
He's a drug addict. We gotta arrest him.
Okay, so for everyone that didn't get it, your next upcoming show is going to be in Lansing at Max Bar,
December 5th.
December 5th.
Yes. Get at us if you want advance tickets. They're $5. Otherwise, at the door is $7.
Contact us by going to our Facebook.
Right.
Yes.
The Book of Faces!
Tell me when the lines cross.
Don't we technically also have a Twitter that we never use?
Ooh, do
ever?
you guys tweet?
No.
No. But we have it.
We have an Instagram too.
We have an Instagram?
Oh wait, we don't?
No.
Good, because we
They're
don't
starting
update
an
it.
Instagram right now.
We also have a Yelp page, so make sure you give us.
I have an Instagram, I don't update
I don't even have a personal
We are
Instagram.
on Reverb Nation.
Oh.
Okay, you guys can
Yeah.
start.
Don't.
Yeah, I mean,
Don't
it's
listen to
from
her.
it's not the full band.
Don't listen to that music.
One.
Don't do it. I'm sorry.
So what kind of music that we shouldn't plug out here?
One recording is
Not
Shadow
really.
Shoes, where it's just me with my voice, my ukulele, and the accordion, because nobody else could show up. But yeah, a friend recorded that. That was really cool.
That was actually a good video though, because I actually wrote the bass line to that song while
Oh,
watching
nice.
the video. Yeah,
Nice.
so that video was important.
So that one's not too bad, but it's only me, so it's not the whole band.
Yeah.
The second recording is of Dear Mama, and that is me and Sandra.
On a parking ramp.
On the top of the parking ramp on Harris Street with my phone.
Yeah, so it's not that like the content's bad, it's that the quality of the recordings is bad, and it's not all of us. Like, like it'll give you like an idea of what we sound like, but it's definitely not as
So for your adoring public out there, when are you guys gonna record an album? Put you on the spot right now.
Soon.
We're getting at it.
We're gonna
In the foreseeable future.
We're gonna do a GoFundMe, and all you guys
What
have to
day
Yeah, we'll
GoFundMe.
There we go. We'll start a GoFundMe, and then we'll add the link somewhere. Not in this video though, because it's so hard to be out with.
Show
But if you're on our Facebook page, it'll be on there
You
sometime.
guys send us the link and put it on the next show.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Also, the only prize we'll offer is hugs from me. So if you like hugs,
That's the best prize ever. So.
or you can touch my fro if you like it enough.
Or if you're a single girl, she might go on a date with you if she likes you.
You're ready to mingle.
Yes.
Ready to
So if you're a cute girl, that could be your prize.
Nice. Anything else you guys want to say before we get into the music?
The more you
The
know.
most fun audience I've ever had. So, yes.
We know we can.
I'm hungry.
Please talk about
Don't get angry with me. Well, great. Well, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
I want to share your magical performance with the world. So let's just get into that, and let's do that whole Wayne's World thing.
Please put that
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for old Saint Tyrannaus. Thank you for watching at home. Until next time.
Adios, bienvenidos.
This next song is called Taxi Man.
is called Circus Song.
Bet you'll never guess what it's about.
stopped working like the same week that I got it.
I was thinking about it today when I was on my way here. My gloves have holes in them and stuff. And this is like an old shirt that somebody left at my house. It was one of my son's friends.
It looks like a puppy.
Yeah, I think it was Matt's. I'm not sure, but anyway, I got it, because he was there. Finders keepers was in my house. But anyway, and I'm looking at myself and I think, some people go for that look, that fingers.
Intentional.
Oh yeah. And with me, it's not a fashion statement. It's just I got good shit,
You're not America.